Hello everyone, welcome to the Geoecologist. I am Dr. Krishnanand and in this session we are going to learn about dichotomy. Basically what we say dualism in geography. So what is this dichotomy? What is this dualism that existed in evolution of geographical thought? Like for example, environmentalism versus possibilism, nomothetic versus ideographic, or general versus particular debate. So what are these debates all about? So in this session we are going to learn it all. So before we go ahead, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also please share it to maximum people as much as you can.
So let's understand the concept first, the concept of what is dualism and what is dichotomy. What is the similarity or how they are different from each other? So when we observe this word dualism, let's understand what does it mean. A way of thinking. So it is basically about the way we think, okay? So something happens in the mind. So that is where it comes from, which explains phenomena by the assumption of two independent and absolute elements. So when we think about some phenomena and we try to interpret, we try to explain it through the independent values, through absolute elemental forms, then we understand that there is a separation. So there are two different set of independent values or two different set of elements that is important to explain that phenomena that we are saying. So in that way we understand that it is a way of thinking in which we explain any phenomena by two different elemental thoughts. So that is where dualism is. And then the word dichotomy is basically coming from the Latin word dichotomia, that is basically meaning that dividing into two, right? So like phases of the moon where the moon is half. So just like this particular image that you see here is yin yang concept that we study, right? So yin yang. So this idea that point of bisection is there between the two parts when we see that it is bisected. So this entire circle is bisected, but they are completing each other rather than just contesting. So there is a division which is mutually exclusive, or many times it can be contradictory in groups or opposite. So let's understand further. Is mind a substance? Can it exist without any material? This is the first question. So there can be two options. Either we can say yes, we can say no, alright, to this particular question. So when we say yes to this question, it means that there is a dualism. So the answer of this question, that whether mind is a substance or can it exist without any material information, so that is where this dualism is there when we say yes to this answer. But if we say no, then there is something called materialism. We only say that only matter is there. There is no role of just mind as a substance. A substance is largely material. But if we say that there is both matter as well as mind, then it is part of the dualism. So coming from the philosophical understanding. So here we are not going into deep philosophy of dualism, rather than just the understanding that what does this separation mean. So we separate matter from the mind, the thought process from the material basically. That's where dualism comes in, and that's how we apply this thought process in the phenomena and understanding in geography. So let's understand further. So ever since the inception of the domain of knowledge in geography, we have encountered these dualisms and dichotomies in the subject matter that we see. So dualisms in terms of the ways of thinking and dichotomies in the terms of division in the subject matter. So let's understand what has happened. We have studied through the works of Greeks, Romans, Arabs, and in the modern foundation phase in Germany, British, French, American schools of thought, and also Indian school of thought. So what do we observe? We see that Greek scholars like Aristotle, Herodotus, Hecataeus emphasized on physical geography largely. Roman scholars like Strabo on regional geography largely. Ptolemy stressed on mathematical and cartography section. So we find the differentiation, we find the branching, we find the dichotomies of physical and human geography, regional and systematic geography coming from the ancient root itself. Right? In the Arab scholars, we find Al-Masudi, Al-Biruni, Al-Idrisi highlighting on the importance of physical environment. Then in 17th century, we see German geographer Bernhard Verenius branching it into the general and specific. So special geography and general geography in his work Geographia Generalis, as cited by Bernhard Verenius, as we see from the works of this philosopher Bartholomew Kickerman. So he gave this concept of general and special, which Bernard Verenius actually brought into the studies in terms of geographical studies. So it is into special and general. So what we see that the inception of this modern debate of this dichotomy, the dualism in geography, started right after the age of discovery, when too much of knowledge was getting accumulated. So branching of knowledge was one of the things that happened, and Bernard Verenius in 17th century is supposed to be called as father of dualism, because of his work into general and special, it paved way for further more debates on this issue, that should geography be studied into a systematic manner or in a regional manner. What should be the content of geography? Should the approach be of inductive nature or of deductive nature? So these debates started coming after the works of Verenius. So we observe in the post-Renaissance period, that is the age of discovery section that we study in geography and also in history. So on methodological grounds, there were branching of subject matter, that is division into subject matter. So various dualism debates existed. What kind of debates that we study? General and regional, physical and human, determinism and possibilism, ideographic and nomothetic, quantitative versus behavioral geography later on in modern foundations, then inductive and deductive approaches. So approach wise there is a change. Then modernism and postmodernism. So there are numerous debates that exist. Alright, so here in this session we are going to learn about the three basic debates that has dominated the larger discipline of geography. So the first debate is systematic geography versus regional geography. So let's understand that what is systematic and what is regional. So this is based on the approaches that we study, that is the ideographic and that is inductive approach, and nomothetic, that is the deductive approach, which will be discussed in the third step. So let's first understand these approaches. So ideographic approach is basically about empiricism, about observation at particular point. So it does not imply to law development. It talks about specific part. We talk about specific characteristics, attributes of particular places. While in nomothetic or deductive approach, we talk about generalization, about establishment of laws. So this methodology led to the foundations of systematic geography and regional geography. So let's understand that what happened when we talk about systematic geography. So, in systematic geography, we seek the works of Alexander von Humboldt. In his work Cosmos, he talked about harmonious unity of the cosmos. So, largely what we talk about a phenomena which is unity in diversity is largely of this systematic nature. So, he divided the work, as we know, in uranography and in geographical form. So, prime objective of his work was that finding unity that exists between diversity of phenomena. So, there are diverse phenomena in the world. Alright, but what is that thread that binds every one of these important diverse phenomena? How this works as a system of the independent phenomena as a totality. So Humboldt opened that humans were basically as part of the same nature, of the same system. So he divided his thought process, his work into these three aspects that we see: systematic sciences like botany, zoology or geology as classified phenomena according to their form, grouped them into the basis of certain commonalities; then historical sciences that deal with development of phenomena over time period; and then we have geography or the earth sciences where we are concerned. So in this, it is concerned itself with the spatial distribution or the spatial relationship of all the interdependent phenomena. So it means all these phenomena have interactions and they are bound in a single thread of that systematic approach. So that is what Humboldt said or discussed in his work. But contemporary of Humboldt, as we know, Karl Ritter, he talked about the local Verhältnisse. That basically means local conditions. He did not talk about the systematic, rather he talked about specific approach. That is, the purpose of geography was Erkund, as he said. So this was based on inductive method rather than deductive reasoning. So he talked about these particular characteristics as spatial unit, which are very unique in nature. So on the basis of topography, so topographical, concerned with delineation of natural divisions into specific topography. Then formal, which basically meant that distribution of movement of such phenomena as water, air, etc. that constituted the basis of human life. And then material, which dealt with the distribution of biotic life and minerals all across the globe. So these specific parameters for the study of these local conditions. So he said that geography has to be studied in terms of its local conditions rather than the whole. So that was just the opposite of the approach of systematic approach given by Humboldt. Then later on, after Humboldt and Ritter era, what we observe is this Darwinian doctrine comes into the picture in 1859, and it again revolutionizes the thought. So here the focus was about evolution. The focus was largely about the determinism of the nature. So then here prominent scholars like Ferdinand von Richthofen, Friedrich Ratzel, so these came into picture and they talked about their work. So Richthofen perceived geography in the same line as in Humboldt. So Humboldt's work was more about the systematic geography. So Richthofen also followed the same work, but Friedrich Ratzel in his Anthropogeography made another revelation that was about systematic study but of human geography. So in terms of social order, in terms of social Darwinism, so he talked about the interrelation of environment and humans and also the interrelations of human beings themselves. So this is one important point here. Then further what we observe is another scholar, Alfred Hettner. So he talked about chorology, basically the distribution in space. So that gives rise to rather regional work in terms of regional phenomena, that is uniqueness we talk again. So he rejected the view that geography could be either general or regional. He said that regionalism is the core of geography. Chorology is the only truth rather than talking about general or regional. So he rejected this dichotomy, but he emphasized that only one exists, that is chorology exists. But at the same time, we talk about French school of geographical thought, where we see that Vidal de la Blache talks about the concept of pays, which is about local units again. And at the same time, another scholar, Reclus, talks about La Terra, which is about systematic approach again. So here also we find some kind of dualism existence. Then what we see there further in the 20th century, this Hartshorne-Schaeffer debate about the nature of geography. What should geographers do? What should be the content of geography as a subject matter? So this was debated by two scholars. So Hartshorne, as an American geographer, published his work Nature of Geography 1939, in which he emphasized upon the regional content, about the specific approach to the geography, that is through areal differentiation. Means one area is different from the other. So this is unique and this is also unique. So we can study this in its own uniqueness rather than talking about the systematic whole. While Schaeffer talked about that this concept of Hartshornian orthodoxy is not applied, it's not scientific. The scientific approach is about lawmaking. So geography should seek towards systematic scientific approach. So this was the whole of debate right till 20th century, where we see that many scholars talked about the systematic approach should be the main approach in geography, while some talked about the regional approach as the main approach in geography. But what we observe here is that geography has both the approaches, not just as a versus, that is contest, rather than also complementing each other. So let's look at the other debates. So when we look at the other debates, we find that next important debate that has dominated the discipline of geography is right from the ancient to the modern, we see environmental determinism versus possibilism. So what is this determinism? Determinism simply means that natural forces dictate, they determine the actions of everything. All the creatures on the surface of the earth are determined by the forces of nature. So nature is supreme in this world. So this has been the part of all the geographical thought through ancient till modern as well. So what we observe here is that the focus on natural environment and which determines the human behavior. This is known as environmental determinism. While emphasis on possibilism is just opposite of what environmental determinism says. So possibilism is where there is a possibility that man is important rather than nature. So human beings can alter, human beings can have a possibility, they can be creative rather than just being passive, they can also be active force in the change. So that is where the possibility comes into the picture. So this debate has been there, the part of geographical thought right since the ancient till present as well. So what we observe is the determinists at the time, ancient scholars, we see Aristotle, Herodotus, Strabo, all these worked in terms of environmental determinism. While in Arab scholars as well, they talked about 7 Kishwas or the terrestrial zones that highlighted that how races have evolved in particular zones, the impact of climate on races, and furthermore, Al-Biruni, Masudi, Batani, Hawkel, Idrisi, Khaldun, all of them talked about how environment controlled the human activities. So this was purely deterministic approach, and deterministic approach was further fueled by the concept of origin of species, where this influenced the geographers like Frederick Ratzel, E.C. Semple, who talked about the influences of geographic environment on human being. So the statement very famous is that man is a product of Earth's surface. So this is more about the environmental determinism. But at the same time, when we talk about possibilism, so possibilism in geography developed as a reaction to extreme generalizations of environmental determinist. So what is the basic crux of the matter of possibilism? That man is also an active agent. Man is not just part of that nature, but also has a role to play in carving out the niche, carving out the pace that he said about the local units, the immediate environment shaping by human beings. So the work of Lucien Febvre and Vidal de la Blache paved the way for this idea of possibilism coming from the French school of geographical thought. So French school of geographical thought is supposed to be the foundation stone of this concept of possibilism. But it does not mean that possibilistic thinking did not exist before this. It did exist right from the ancient to the modern. But as a part of the discipline, as a part of university system of education, when it was introduced in French School of Geography, then it gained importance. So as a parallel thought of human beings creating their own opportunities. So that is where technology, culture, everything has a role to play. So let's look at certain statements of these important possibilist scholars. Like for example, Vidal de la Blache says that nature sets limits and offers possibilities for human settlement. The way man reacts or adjusts to this condition depends upon his own traditional way of life. So what is this way of life that he talked about? That genere divai. So genere divai is basically this particular thing, that the way you live your life, the way you carve your niche in that particular environment, that is about creating your own possibilities. Again, in the works of Febvre, what we see, the true and only problem with geographical problem is that utilization of possibilities. So how you utilize your possibilities is important. So there are no necessities, rather everywhere there is a possibility. That is what he focused on. Then in the works of John Bruns, what we see, nature is not mandatory but permissive. So nature is not just dismissive or controlling factor, but it is also a permissive factor. So there is an opportunity lying which human beings have to take into account. Barrows, also a prominent ecologist, the concept of human ecology. So human-centric ecological concept was given at that particular time, saying that possibility of human beings to carve their own niche of their own ecology, the system of urban system of living, that is human beings create this urban system, urban ecology. Later on it came into the concept as well. Further, what we see is through the works of cultural landscape emphasized by Carl Ossar in cultural geography. So these are certain works of possibilism, the thought of possibilism. Then further, the third debate is about the approach, that is the ideographic versus nomothetic approach. So what are these words? What does this ideographic mean? What does this nomothetic mean? So ideographic comes from Greek word that is idios, which basically means own or private or basically individualistic, or if we say unique, isn't it? So that is important here again. Nomothetic is basically nomos, that is lawmaking, which is largely general. It is not individualistic. So ideographic approach emphasized on the views that all places are unique in itself, that is own, private, individualistic. While nomothetic approach is about similarities between those places and phenomena. So that is important here to understand how these two are different from each other. Then according to the thought process through the evolution of geographical thought, let's understand through the works of Kant, Hettner, Hartshorne, we observe that there is a differentiation which has been emphasized, that is spatial or areal differentiation of the uniqueness of these particular places, their attributes. While through the works of Humboldt, Saar, Schaeffer, we understand that the entire world can be studied in terms of systematic manner, talking about the generalization, talking about the linkages between those unique places. So that is important. So what we observe after Second World War, there was a shift in the thought process of geographers who concentrated on various diffusion models, locational theories, gravity models, and attempted to make several generalizations and started to think of geography as a law-making subject. So this was done in order to make geography or put geography on a sound footing. Basically, it was done for the purpose of stating that geography is highly scientific in nature. So scientific laws as we make in physics or in chemistry, same could be made in geography. But we know that geography is not about just pure sciences, but it is an amalgamation of social sciences as well, where there are lots of dynamic phenomena, where we don't have many constant. To make a universal law, we always have a universal constant. But do any phenomena in geography that we study has a constant? No. So how could we generalize? So this debate further failed to exist in the later part of the foundations of modern geographical thought.
So now, when we have understood the meaning of this word dichotomy and dualism, also what role it played in the diversification of the subject matter in geography, we can say that dualism exists still till today as well, but they are not contesting, rather complementing each other. In more lectures to come, we are going to learn about paradigms in geography, quantitative revolution in geography, and furthermore. So stay tuned, stay safe, all the best wishes.